And that's something that it's just one of, like I said, I have insomnia because of my MS, but also because of that. I've always been like that. Like I have to fall asleep by a certain time because if I get my second wind, I'll be up all night. It's just, so I have to go to sleep before I get my second wind because I know that, I know that about myself. And so one of the things that I was taught was about developing sleep routines. And for any of you that have trouble going to sleep, it actually is really helpful. And so when you have a sleep routine, you train your body to start slowing down. And so once you start into that sleep routine, then your body, it's kind of like training a dog or anything else, you get trained, your body gets trained. It's like, okay, this is my signal to wind down. So that by the time you're actually ready to go to sleep, then you're able to do so easily or more easily. But it's a process for sure. So I follow my sleep routine every night and I take drugs.
I'll try to do that next year. I think part of it is I just need a vacation.
I was just gonna say vacation.
It is just that I need to take a step back, and then maybe if I am able to not have to deal with the day-to-day where my mind is constantly running, maybe I can relax enough to go, okay, now I'm going to get back into working this time to this time and get back into, I haven't worked out in a while either, and I used to work out and then have a routine, but I have not had a routine probably a few months after you left, so probably 6-7 months now. Been kind of all over the place.
I like what Melinda said. She said sleep, but why? Because your body will eventually protest. Trust me on this one. I know this. And Stephen, I'm going to give you a little bit of the word will come. It's not tough love. It's not that, but it's in that vein of tough love.
Fine. Go for it.
And that, you have a really big heart to help people. But, if you run yourself into the ground, then you won't be able to help anybody. And so just cautionary note, that's a better way of saying it, because it's not really tough love. It's just a cautionary note, because I have done that before, and it's a place where, if you run yourself into the ground, then it's like everything kind of stops, and then you're not really able to help anybody at all. And since I know it is your desire to help people, you might want to keep that in mind. I know it's easy to say and much, much harder to do. I get that. I totally understand that. But, when we say we don't have time for something, we're not stating a fact. We're stating a choice. Because you always have time for the things that you want to do or that you desire to do and stuff like that. So if you don't say you don't have time for something, it's a lie. It's just that you haven't prioritized it. So
yeah, I don't think I say that.
No, I didn't say you were.
Well, no, I was just trying to think. Even today, I turned down 2 additional business opportunities just because it's not in our. I was saying vein from before, and me and Nathaniel watched a video where it was talking about what's in your basket, and I was like, oh, I like that analogy a lot more.
Yeah, I like that.
A lot of stuff that's not really, we can't quite fit in our basket. It's stuff that we kind of have to get left on the side. So somebody's been asking me for their help or for my help to help them in their business. They're very willing to pay me, but I just don't have the mental capacity to take on the responsibility of what they're asking me to do. And I was like, I can help train a person to do it. So I made a few videos. So I was like, you can use those videos. That should help you. I do want to partner up with you, but now is not the proper time to do it. Because you're going into 4th quarter, you need a lot more attention than what I can give you right now. But as I grow my business and we start learning more about the building audiences and building brands, then I'll be able to help you with that information. And then another person wants me to kind of help them build and just stay on top of their ads. I think that's because that's such a big thing right now, and I'm telling everybody to hold and wait. I think a lot of people are reaching out to me like, can you just do this for me? I'm like, I don't. Me and Jenny have gone back with a few different ideas. She wants me to help them train their team, but I know it, but I don't enjoy doing it. and it is very time consuming. Like it's something that you have to be on top of all the time. We will probably eventually build a team for that, for us in-house, and then maybe operate it like how we do a lot of other things that we have, like tap into it. But I don't know. I'm going to talk to the guys over at Scope when we come back from
the reunion.
Legends, yeah. They have a pretty cool program called Ignite. I have used it before, but never really dug too deep into it. It was somebody else's account, and I was managing their stuff with it.
Yep.
But now that Merch and KDP and all these other programs allow you to use Amazon advertisements, I don't know if there's a way to link all of those accounts up to Ignite. So
Ignite.
We're trying to brainstorm and figure out.
I played with it actually a year or so ago when it first, I think it was when it first came out. I could be wrong on that, or at least when it first was introduced to me. And it was very interesting, but again, for me, it was just too much. I didn't have the capacity to dig into it enough to learn it, to really have it be beneficial to me right then. I needed to step away. Now we can't, there you go. I needed to step away. And so I did. Stepped away. So Nate, how are you doing?
Fantastic. I sleep like a baby. I just need my moment of zen in the morning. If I don't get that, then I'm usually pretty grumpy. But there's not too much pressure put on me. So
oh yeah,
I have my own schedule.
I'm building all the presentations.
Yeah,
do you drink
nerdy stuff all day, which I enjoy. So
do you drink coffee?
I don't. I actually hate coffee. I'm not a big fan of any drugs at all.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah, even when I had my surgery and stuff, they give you a bunch of pain medicine and whatever. The only thing I remember taking was the antibiotic. But growing up playing a ton of sports, I'd see a bunch of kids popping crazy pills and all this stuff, and that just I don't know.
I gotta have my coffee in the morning.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I have. Go ahead.
I'm just way too wired on coffee. If I drink coffee, I'm too hyper where I can't focus on anything. I feel like I have a good amount of energy enough.
Without it. Actually, my husband hates coffee. Both of us hated coffee until probably about 4 years ago, maybe 3-4 years ago. And I read a study talking about how coffee was good for inflammation levels. And because I used to have a constant problem with inflammation levels because of my MS. I thought, okay, I can choke this stuff down. Lots of cream and sugar. And I eventually weaned it off of that because I don't eat a lot of sugar. And so after a while, it didn't really do anything for my inflammation levels, but then I got addicted to coffee. And so it's okay. So the study, I'm pretty sure, was put out by coffee companies. I never really looked into it, but I'm pretty sure of that. So we'll see. Anyway, whenever I talk, or sometimes you guys keep on disappearing and it's just black. Is that just me?
I think it's maybe one other person there might be reverbing or something, and they don't have a picture, so it just goes black real quick.
Okay. So Melinda was also asking, did everybody have a good week? Sounds like James was busy. David, sorry. I have to remember which name is which. I know who you are. I know who you are. I know. I actually know that, but I have to remember.
One account I got it as James, and the other account I got it as David.
Yeah, because on the other one that we were on, you were James, and so I'm going to have to remember to do it back and forth. So
yeah. My friends call me David. So
David, okay, well I'm your friend.
Yeah, I think so.
So I'm going to say David.
That works.
Then I'll mess everybody up in the other group when I call you David, and they'll think I'm nuts and don't know who I'm talking to.
It'll be our little secret.
It'll be our little secret. Nobody will know.
You looking at the analytics for that?
It was clicked by 7 people.
Keep them all dazed and confused.
Well, I think most people are after listening to me talk for the last 3 days, so that'll be okay. So I want to go back to that. Just reminded me of something, David. Actually, Stephen and Nate, you're doing next week. Is it Wednesday? What day are you guys doing your run through of your thing that you're going to do at the Legends reunion? Is that Wednesday? Didn't I see that, or am I forgetting something?
I don't even remember. Was it Wednesday?
I'm not sure what date that is, but yeah.
Okay.
Sometime next week.
Okay.
I guess it's only for the VIPs. I guess that's why Nathaniel's looking at me like that. Is that why you're?
Oh, sorry.
It's fine. We've done it both places. I didn't know if we had posted it there, and I had forgot. That's why I was looking at Steven.
Yeah.
No, it could very well be in the other.
Yeah, but I don't even remember if it was Wednesday or Tuesday.
I can look.
We might have said that it was Wednesday, but I think we might actually do it on Tuesday and then do a pre-run of the pre-flight 2.0 again in Wednesday, because that to me is a better way to do it. Like run it through the day before.
Mm-hmm.
And this one's going to be a little easier because it's going to be a lot more over the shoulder. I wanted to spend probably 10 more minutes than I actually did showing some things. So I want to really make everybody understand how to fill in that Excel sheet, because we're going to start working off of that when we go to like the listings and the optimizing and everything else. So this Thursday inside that pre-flight, I'm going to spend a lot more time talking about where to pull the keywords, how to reuse those keywords, how to find even more landing zones. When you're pulling those keywords, if you're not analytical and you don't want to be weighed down by all of the keywords, what's the simplest way of doing it? How do you just look at the listing without any tools and pull information and be able to quickly make a listing? And then once we do go into like optimizing and even kind of some of the questions that James was asking, being able to like, I put these shirts up, I know I'm missing it somewhere. What now do I need to do to start having more success? I feel like I've followed the process, but at the end of the day, I'm not finding my shirts. What do I do then? And then that's really like the managing and optimizing the listings of how to like, now that you've done all the upfront work and you understand this process, how do you have success with it? And then how do you, like Nathaniel was always saying, double down on what's working? It's just hard when you're not having any sales because there could be so many things, but because we know James and James's art is, we think, at a high enough level where it should be selling, it's probably just the initial where he's putting the shirts. And when he said, oh, I thought you guys were saying 5,000 and now we're suggesting 2,000, it's because of that. We understand keywords really well, so we can go after those higher competitive spots. But maybe people that are more art focused like Nathaniel need to just niche down farther so that you can start competing with less aggressive competitors and start having success. Because Amazon will help you go up that niche, especially if you start having sales, as long as you are able to pull some similar keywords, because their search algorithm is very good. Just the amount of shirts that they're constantly being bombarded with, they have to kind of finagle who's showing up where. So we can't, there's no like a best way to do it. There's just a what works best for you. That's why we say like find something that works for you and then double down on that.
And that process can take a while. Oh, sorry. That was like, I'm hearing echo. Sorry about that. For me, I actually started doing less than 1,000. I from the very beginning, because I wanted to be able to compete with fewer people. And maybe that was some of the training that I had done with like Ryan and Jenny and other courses and stuff like that, just looking at different things. But I'm feeling like now that I've gotten through the process, I talk about this a lot in a lot of different areas, but remembering that it's a marathon, not a sprint. And it's kind of ingrained in us almost all the time anymore, both the world we live in and, you know, most of the entrepreneurial backgrounds and stuff like that. It's just instant gratification is really hard for us. And so, you know, when you're going through a process like this where there is a learning curve and it's a little bit slower, you know, to get around that curve than like say RA or something like that. You know, if I'm from the encouragement side, I just want to make sure people don't give up too early, because, once you do learn the process, once you get that down pat, then everything gets easier. Like when you guys were helping me figuring out about the double down, that's where I was starting to get stuck, because I was getting a pretty good handle on the process and starting to see a little bit of success. And then you showed me what double down means, in a way that for me, it wasn't connecting before. So that was such great training on that, or, time that we spent together to be able to learn that. And now I'm starting to see some of those, the bigger picture of what you're talking, when you talk about assets and stuff like that, or when you talk about assets specifically, now having that transition over to the pop sockets and seeing some success on a couple different pop sockets that are in that same niche, and I was able to use the same assets for. And now the next step is going to be putting on something else, and kind of expand that out, like putting in some of those on Etsy. And I've sold a shirt on Etsy. So again, it's shirt, but it's in 2 different platforms. And so it is starting to but it's because I was patient. I was patient and didn't expect to be a millionaire overnight. We love to hear these stories of, like, the Eclipse shirts and stuff like that, where somebody makes $40,000 off of one shirt. But, the reality is that most of us won't do that. Most of us have to build a foundation and learn everything. David, you were hearing some of this earlier too. It's not any different than other platforms and things like that, but it's just a reality of what we have to do. So.
Well, that's what Stephen was saying. You can take everything and kind of, you can start out with merch, and you can use the same principles in other platforms.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's essentially what our Legends presentation is directed for those people in Danny's group that understand the reverse sourcing, that are coming from his teaching, and showing you how you can add merch to your business simply without having to really build a separate business. You can just go, okay, I'm already doing searches this way. I'm already using keywords. How now do I just do 1 or 2 additional steps to find places to put shirts, and then start making listings that way without taking up a lot of my time.
That's helped a lot. Did you see that Harper? Is it Harper or Harper Joe? I don't know whether you use both or not. But she had a question about using different bullet points for each listing. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see the other question either. Somebody else had a question right above that for you.
Yeah, you can answer that one, and then I'll answer Melinda's question.
Landing zone generating designs 5 to center around central. Should both points. Yes, we call it split testing, but we're really trying to get the most out of the art that we make. So if your artist is making 5 to 10 different images for those shirts, you can try all the same bullet points. You can also double the amount of listings that you have by adding different bullet points to the same shirt design, and make 2 very similar listings, one having different bullet points than the other, and everything else is the same. The title, the picture, the colors that you use. So you can take the 5 to 10 that you already are putting in that landing zone, and then put 10 to 20 in there by just making another set of listings with different bullet points. But there's a million different ways to split test, because you can switch out the titles a little bit. You can change up the colors that you display. You can do a lot of different things. So you can really stretch any piece of art to make a lot of them.
That was a big aha for me. Actually.
And I feel like we say it, but it's always like that information is always hidden in different places. That's why I'm excited to okay, when we teach on split testing, let's show one piece of art and then start branching out of all the different ways you can turn that one piece of art into so many different listings. And I guess I say that a lot. You can turn that one shirt into many different shirts. So it's not really what you're doing. You're taking that one shirt and making a lot of different listings from that one shirt or that one piece of art.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like you can go on Amazon and you can search for a stainless steel water bottle. And if you put find this, or you can find this with stainless steel water bottle with black lid. It's still the same bottle, but it's just how you searched for it. And so, yeah, it's amazing because, like I said, I know that, and I use that in other you know, and other platforms and other things that I'm doing. But for some reason, as much as you said it here, it just took, I had to be in the right place, or yeah, whatever it was. It was just like, oh, that's sweet.
It's the same information, you're just using it different. Because especially in private label, like you're taking that information and adding it to one listing, because you don't want 20 of different listings for your one private label product. But for the shirts, you want to be able to cast a wider net. And because they don't give you a lot of keywords, and sometimes with all the different variables with merch, like sometimes we miss the customers just by like a color, or miss the customers just by one word. It's not always like that, but we always try to cast a wide enough net so we can go, okay, we feel like the art is good, feel like the landing zone that we're going after is good. Now, how do we reach the most amount of customers and give them a product that they'll actually buy? Do they want the black on or the white on black background? Do they want the white on, I'm said the same thing twice. Do you want the white on black background or the black on white background? It's always different for those customers that are coming there. But as soon as you kind of figure that out, it kind of, that's the through line through everything else. Because as soon as you go, oh, these customers that are buying Chihuahua Mom shirts are Chihuahua Mom customers. What else do Chihuahua Mom customers buy? How do I build this into a product line? How do I test the market inside merch? And then what do I go to next? Like you said, I put that same stuff on Etsy. There's Chihuahua Mom customers over on Etsy. Are they going to buy the same exact thing? Are they going to search the same exact way? That's the thing that we are trying to show you how to do, to see if you can continuously use the art and how you use those in each different platform that you might be using or going after. But the customer that you identify in merch is still a customer. They're not only buying shirts. They're already on Amazon. They're going to buy something from Amazon. They show you that by buying a shirt. What else is that customer buying? How do you continue to sell to that customer? How do you make that customer your customer?
Yeah, that made a lot of sense. I have to tell you, I just had another aha moment just while you were going through that. It's interesting how that happens. But I was just reminded how inherently lazy some people are. You know, really, for real, because it's interesting because, like, for me, I'm always like, oh, I want to give people lots of options. But I forget about the people that don't want to have options. They don't want to think about it. They just want to see it and click. You know, maybe they're the busy people that don't have more than 5 minutes to find what they're looking for, whatever reason it is. But that you just again, a light bulb of why having another reason why having the same artwork on different colors with same bullet points and stuff makes sense, because it's for somebody that won't even look at my listing to see that I might have the color that they want. Huh, interesting.
That's why split testing. You got to split test all that stuff. It's always amazing to me how I make a huge assumption of like, oh, this customer wants this. Amazon is showing that all the other shirts are red. That to me is showing that customers are buying red shirts. Let's put another red shirt there. Our red shirt doesn't sell, but as soon as we go, okay, let's put blue and another lighter color, then those are the ones that are different than what's there, and it stands out. So that when the customer is scrolling through and then our shirt stands out, they're going to click on our shirt. Even if they end up buying it in red, it wasn't the first image that they saw.
I think so.
Because they might go to the brand and go, oh, the blue one stood out to me, but I do like it in red. Let me see if they have other shirts in their brand. And then that's why we kind of lump those together in different brands. And again, there's no true way to know. These are all assumptions that we're making, but we've just seen it happen so many times to go, oh, once we do kind of lump these brands together and separate the shirts out in different ways, we get more sales, even if they're showing up on many different landing zones. Bringing all of the shirts inside this brand up, a lot more of them are selling.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought I was pretty tired tonight. Wasn't going to be able to like load anything else in. But right now my brain must be pretty open, because I'm just like, it's interesting because it's like, again, it's like, it's not like I haven't heard that said before, but like all of a sudden it's like, oh, I get it. Yeah, that was a good one. Thank you. That was a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I almost feel like a broken record sometimes, because I'm like, I'm saying these things over and over, but it is like, there's so much to merch until you get over that first hurdle. Like the rest of it is just like white noise. It's so overwhelming that you have no idea. what's going on. So like just getting a shirt up. That's why we try to push people to just like get a shirt up, get that understanding. Because without that base understanding, everything else I say to you is just falling on deaf ears. Like it's not going to make any sense to you. As soon as you get some shirts up and then you hit a wall, you go, these aren't selling, what should I do? And then having the one-on-ones with you guys is very eye-opening to go, oh, I feel like we've said this to them, but it was at a time where they didn't even have enough shirts up and they're struggling on how do I hit my daily limits? When we go, okay, that's not really truly your problem. What your problem is you need a system, a structure. You need to be able to figure out what's working, what's not working, and systemize that so you can start building a business instead of just that OA, RA mentality of next thing, next thing, next thing. Like it's not a turn and burn business. It's you're trying to grow assets. And that's why we're using that terminology now to just go, it's not you're just making a listing. You're building something. How do you use that something that you're building? And how do you remember what it is that you're looking up? And just using a simple Excel sheet, Word doc, or Word doc, anything that you want to put that information on, whatever works for you, just so that you can go back and go, okay, this is working. What did I look up in the beginning? And let me pull from that and then try this again. So I can go after those customers.
Yeah, that's Harper saying this is awesome. You're right, it is. So
yeah,
how do you?
I wanted more of you to talk and inspire people. That's why I like these hangouts, because it is just free flow. I want to wherever the people have questions, we want to answer those questions.
So Harper was asking, how do you separate listings for each color shirt for split testing?
You can go individual colors. It's not something that we do a lot. Sometimes when we're going after a new niche, we might try that, but it's not something that we are constantly doing where we go, oh, we're going to make this shirt and we want it on 6 different colors. We make 6 different listings with the 6 different colors. We're not doing that very much. At least I don't think we are.
No. If we want to offer more than 5, like if a design looks really good on 8 to 10 colors, then we will make 2 listings of the same thing and keep them very similar. And then just have the colored shirt be different. But usually when we're split testing, we're doing a lot more than just shirt color. Because we kind of know like black is going to always sell. There's a few other colors that, like, depending on the niche, these colors are usually going to sell more than others. So it's not like you really need to offer more than 5.
Curious. And Melinda had a question too about the different listings with the same art. Can you do different listings with the same art without changing it?
Yes.
Okay.
For instance, putting it in different places. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we use the term split testing kind of loosely, and we have a lot of different ways that we define
we don't
it.
kind of. We do. We don't have a good definition of it.
Yeah, because sometimes when you're split testing, you want to keep like several things similar across several listings and then just change one variable. That way, if you're changing all the variables on every
now you sound like me, brother. Now you sound like me.
Then you just get lost in what you're trying to do, and you won't really understand like why one worked over the other because there's too many different variables you play.
Nate,
aren't you proud, Papa?
It's a big concept, and we need visual aids for this concept.
Yeah, we just use it to like cover a lot of different things that we're doing. But to jump back to your question that you asked a little while ago, what size do I keep my graphics limited to for the designs because someone bought one and it looked big on them? I still max them out. I try to make them as big as possible for the actual .png file and upload them that way because I want my designs to stick out. If someone bought a design and they think it's too big for the shirt, they actually size them down based on what gender and what size shirt it is. So the graphics are sized for larges, and then they will size them down for any size underneath that by like 10% or something. I don't know exactly their calculation for it, but almost every t-shirt manufacturer is going to do that, is size them down based on if they have smaller sizes. So yeah, if they're unhappy with the shirt, I mean, Amazon deals with all this anyways. I just know this from working in traditional screen printing, but if they're unhappy with it, they can just return it and ask for, it's usually like when a female buys a male shirt because it will fit them better, but the graphic is going to be large as well.
It's interesting too, because I'm curious to see was the person who bought it unhappy? You know, that's one of those things where sometimes we get so attached to our products, and then it's like, oh, I might be looking and thinking, I was like, oh, that didn't turn out like I wanted, but the person who received it thinks it's awesome. You know, it's an interesting concept on there. Did you see Melinda wants you to stand up, Stephen, so she can see your shirt?
Oh, it says keep calm. Oh, can you not see the whole thing?
Oh, I love that.
Ugh. You know the verse? Let's test your skill.
Oh, I'm terrible with Bible verses. I really am.
And I will make you fishers of men.
And I will make you fishers of men.
That's kind of why we sprinkle a lot of that into our teaching too. Is just like we want to teach you how to fish. We don't necessarily want to give you a fish. We want to, and more than just teach you, we want to show you, like really engulf you into what we are doing, so that you have success. I'm gonna say this again because I say this all the time. I'm not after teaching you guys merch. That's not really what I enjoy. I want to go on to the next things. I want to show people how to build businesses, because I want my business to work with your business. Kind of tonight was, we want to work with Christie. Let's have Christie come on and have people ask her questions. It didn't turn out exactly how I wanted, but the idea is still there. So we're still going to work this idea. We feel like Christie has a gift. How can we partner with her that she can use her gift? We haven't figured it out. It's only been 4 days. Yeah, it will come. I have full faith.
It's still the twinkle in your eye right now.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want to find and work with more people. I truly enjoy working with people. I think that's why me and Nathaniel, I enjoy this business so much, because it's Nathaniel's gift that he gets to use, and I get to help him use that gift. He is really good at art. He's really good at managing artists. He seems to really understand the Amazon platform. He really understands t-shirt art and the t-shirt business. It seems like a really good fit for him. I could almost care less. I don't I don't have any desire in this, except for the keyword side of it and the analytics of running an online business. So that pairs very well for what we're trying to do. Any business that you're trying to do online, you're going to have to get eyeballs on it. I feel like I'm getting very good at that process. So I feel like I can work with a lot of people.
Yeah, and I'm just glad I get to use all this t-shirt knowledge somewhere else besides my last 9 to 5. So I'm happy.
Yeah, there you go.
And Nathaniel has a lot of other skills too, like with the setting up the green screen, all that stuff that like I would probably never have this setup without my brother. I wouldn't have bought this mic. I wouldn't have had the camera. Like, it would have always looked bad. I would have had a headset so I could hear better and maybe monitor my sound a little bit better. But taking it to this level, like, I didn't enjoy this at all. Like, even if they was like buying this stuff, I was like, I don't care. Just tell me what we need to buy. I'll buy it and get it set here. And then when it gets here, you open the box, you handle everything else. I don't want to deal with this at all. Even like working with my cousin AJ, like he wants to like show me how he's coding and I'm like, this is like way over my head. He's showing me how he can take like pages of code and turn it into 2 lines. I'm like, that's amazing, but that means absolutely nothing to me, and I have no desire to learn that at all. I'm very intrigued in the stuff that he's doing, especially the search engine stuff. Like, that was fascinating. I didn't know you could create a search engine. Like, they do it obviously, but I didn't know one person could do it. And the way that he's doing it is like genius to me. I was like, that is amazing. How can we use this in our business?
We need to feed the water. It's eating all the clothes.
Sounds like my cat.
Us or someone else?
Yeah, I don't know. Melinda has a good idea. I can do self-care breaks during the day to remind everybody to keep hydrated, stretch, and be kind to yourselves. And that's true. You need to do that. It's important. And it does make you more productive. That's absolutely true. You know, this is something I learned out of necessity when I found out I had MS, was that, you know, I have to listen to my body signals, and if I don't do that, then I usually pay a price for it, and it's not a good one. So I've gotten pretty good at that, and I'm good at reminding other people because I've gone through that experience. So it's just funny how it works that way.
She couldn't get in the group, so I just had her watch it on YouTube.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nathaniel's got this spaceship Enterprise working.
Man in the dials.
Yeah, it looked like
two
I'm
different
spaced out a lot, but
Yeah,
I'm
two
just
different
doing,
chats
like,
going on.
a lot of
I wasn't
things.
quite sure what he had going on.
Nate's got a hole in his chest. He must be
I know.
wearing a green dot.
My green flag.
Oh, did you put that there? That's not on your shirt?
It's green,
yeah,
but because of
there.
the green screen, it's
Oh.
Because my green shirt matches the green screen.
Oh, I got it.
That's what it actually looks like.
Interesting. Oh, that's pretty cool. Thank you, Melinda. That was very sweet of you to say that.
I know. Me and Nathaniel are gonna have to start doing some magic tricks.
I know Steven's got a bunch of ideas for magic tricks.
Start pulling stuff out of the back, like ooh.
Freak people out, or just give people a laugh. That's always good. You know, so I smile a lot. I learned a long time ago. You gotta laugh at yourself. It makes it less painful when other people laugh at you, and also it just makes life more fun.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw my presentations now. Like, that's in all my presentations. I'm trying to keep it fun. The first half of this year was like so problematic and so much life problems, health, car, house, digging up the front yard while we're traveling and doing all kinds of things that was not enjoyable at all. So now that I was like, okay, I want to get back to work. I want to make work fun and enjoyable, because the last 2 years were not. It was just like grinding, trying to stay ahead of everything. And when you're running like a retail business, it's a constant, like, you're making the money just to send the money back out to make more money. Like, it's very stressful to operate like that. It's a constant feast or famine. Like, you're just, I almost feel like you're working for fourth quarter. Like, you're doing everything throughout the year to like maintain stability, and then at the end of the year you kind of like push all your chips in and then hope that you get them all back. Like, that's how it was for the last 4 or 5 years, and I just did not like that. I wasn't able to ever like make it steady. But now with what we got going on now, we're not purchasing a lot of things, so the money's a lot steadier rolling in, and then we can kind of budget a lot better than we were before.
You know, and that's a really good point too, as far as, you know, when you're looking at merch specifically, but just building a business in general. You know, again, the marathon, not a sprint thing, is just something to keep in mind, because we had a care group call earlier today, and what we talked about in there, it had a little bit to do with just how, sorry, I just totally lost my train of thought.
You were doing the class today.
Yeah. And I probably said something really super amazing. I'm pretty sure. I'm absolutely sure it was. Oh, merch foundation. Thank you. I knew it would come back to me. You know, what you're talking about when you're talking about helping people to think beyond merch, you know, it has, it's like what Brett Bartlett talks about. Maybe I've said this before about bolting things to your business. You know, bolt, don't bounce. And it's really, really true about it, you know, using merch as like the launch pad, and you learn it and you understand it and you figure out the process of it, and then you bolt it after it's been systemized, and then you're able to move on to the next thing. And I think what you are indicating, and which I believe you to be, is someone who wants to help people through the whole process of that. Not just about what you said about learning merch, but learning what it means to bolt it and to systemize it so that it can be a foundational piece of a business that you're growing. And, you know, and I think that's a super important point that you make about, you know, looking beyond just the immediate need or the immediate thought. I appreciate that. It's one of the things I really like about you guys, is that you're thinking, you know,
bigger.
Mm-hmm.
It's just because of all the trials and tribulations that we've been through. Like, we understand that it's, first of all, running a business is very difficult. Then, like, adding all the life problems into running a business, it's a constant like juggling act. So you have to be able to know, where can I streamline things? How do I make it a lot more efficient? How can I keep the cash flow coming in? Because that's like the lifeblood of your business. And I feel like merch is a great place to start. And it is I mean, regardless of what business you want to run, I feel like you should add it to your business. You might need to make it a very small part of your business. And you might need to make it grow over a longer period of time, but it's definitely a huge asset. And there's so much information to be gathered. It's not always clear sometimes, but once you start putting up enough shirts and then going, oh, okay, I'm going to target this niche and I'm having success in that niche. Now, how do I pull information from this? Where am I niching down? What are the customers looking for? What are they buying? How do I now cater to these customers with other products that I'm buying? Are they going to buy the OA, RA stuff that I'm selling? How can I kind of bundle this together with something that I can pull from my assets to add to this so I can have my own individual listing, even if I'm not private labeling and doing everything, but I can make an exclusive bundle for myself and then have a lot more stability in my business instead of, oh, I'm trying to outsell these people. I got to drop my prices. I got to constantly be fighting 100 other people on different listings. Like, that to me is a very difficult business. And I don't envy anybody doing that stuff, especially some people that we met at CES that have now bought warehouses and are growing their business that way. It's very difficult to do that, and you really have to be ahead of the competition when you're buying in mass quantities.
So I'm curious, and Melinda has another question here, which is also a really good one. These are really good questions here tonight. I'm curious, like, of the group that we have here, like on the Friday night hangouts and stuff like that, is there a pretty wide variance in skill level or experience level or where they're at? Or is there a good number of people that are just more beginners, or, you know, do you have an idea of what what's the word when you're average. Pardon me? Average. Yeah, I guess average. Median. You know, the median skill level is of the Wingman merch crew membership.
I'm just a newbie.
Okay. James, you're a newbie. Melinda, Harper, you guys are posting. Where do you consider yourself to be? Sue, Allison. Who am I missing? Ray, Stephanie.
This is Sue. I'm a newbie.
No, Ray. Yeah, you don't have to say. You can just post it. Post it in the chat, in the group chat. I'm just curious because, you know, sometimes, especially like if we don't have necessarily an agenda tonight and we're just trying to kind of talking about things, I was finding it a little interesting, some of the questions that were coming up, because I think that sometimes we were talking about being overwhelmed earlier, and it's hard to even think about those things like bundles or outsourcing or things like that when you're still trying to wrap your brain around the basics. So I'm just curious, you know, where people are at. So, and Melinda had a question on keywords. Did you see that? Or should I just read it?
I'm not sure exactly how to answer that. You don't want to put in like towel and cat food and stuff that's not really related to what you have. You could cast a wider net that way and maybe show up on cat food somewhere, but the people that are going to Amazon are very product associated. So if they're typing in cat food, it's very unlikely that they're going to buy a cat shirt. But there are more general terms like gift or present, or I can't think of any others off the top of my head, but like in spaces that are not directly tied to a product, they might purchase a shirt in there because they're looking for a friend or family member or something like that. They're looking for somebody else, or maybe they just don't know exactly what they're looking for. They'll do more general searches. And that's why in showing our tool, that's why I said if you type in the word, that Amazon's going to try to help you find additional things that people are typing in, and then you can maybe find one of those landing zones. But if there's no shirts there, it's very difficult to get a shirt ranked there anyway, so it's not even worth putting that keyword into your product, your bullet points, because you have such a limited space that wasting it on towel or food is not beneficial to you. Mm-hmm. I know you were trying to use that as an example. That's why I was trying to, like, how can I explain it in a better way? But you really want associated words with what people might be typing in to find your shirt.
So it's more important that she finds the type of words that somebody wants on a shirt as opposed to a general niche where somebody might see a cup or might see a shirt or they might see a bowling pin or something like that, and then all of a sudden say, oh, look, I want to buy that. Is that what you mean?
Well, yeah. So I would say, like, instead of using food, I would use like feline, other words to describe a cat, because you're selling cat shirts, or other demographics to go after that might be looking for a cat shirt, instead of like other products that you go, oh, if people are buying that thing, they might also buy my shirt. It's in merch, it's very difficult to do that. Now, if you're selling other products and you're selling complementary products and you can make a Amazon Seller Central listing, there are that kind of idea can be used there, but not really inside of merch, because like I said, you have such limited amount of space that it's not worth doing that. And shirts don't sell like other products. They sell very seldomly compared to, say, cat food. Cat food is selling like 1,000 times today. I guarantee you some cat products are selling like crazy. So you're not even going to show up on the first 50 pages of anything that you might be like, oh, a towel, I'll put towel in there, and then maybe towel will take them to my shirt. It's not, it doesn't quite work like that for merch.
That makes sense. And it looks like we do have a good variation of skill level in the people that are here tonight. That's really encouraging to see too, to be able to have just different experience and what you can share from that experience. So it's like Ray said, he's been doing POD since full time since 2006 and started in 2004. So you've been at this quite a long time. And Harper, she was saying that she's tier 4,000 and averaging enough to make a car payment. So that's really encouraging for the people that are at the lower tiers and saying, okay, what can I expect? You know, and of course there's no one, there's no one answer. It's like, everything is so dependent on so many things, but I think that's encouraging to see that.
Yeah, we're trying to find more ways to poll the group to see like where are people at and how can we best help you. Mm-hmm. Did you charge that light? Does it die that fast?
Yeah, we should just keep it plugged in, but I don't have any more.
I was like, I'm getting dark on the screen, but it was because of the.
So Melinda was saying we wish we could have back-end keywords, and you know what? My understanding is that Amazon is phasing out back-end keywords. I mean, their ultimate plan. Oh, I have a good conversation. Don't let me forget. Say Jose. So at some point, so I don't forget. But isn't that true?
How am I supposed to remember that?
Because I threw it out.
I need to write that down. I'm not going to remember that at all.
Okay. Just say okay, because I want to come back to this because I think it'll be a really good topic of discussion. It just reminded me. But I'm curious, Ray. You said it's been a roller coaster ride. Do you mind sharing a little bit more about that? In what capacity? Has it been from a learning curve capacity, or just like Stephen was talking about earlier about the consistency part of it, that type of thing? If you don't mind, and if you do, that's fine. I totally understand. But I think hearing the stories of other people that have walked the walk can be really beneficial to everybody, both people that are maybe further along as well as the people that are still coming up behind. I discovered that today, and that I was talking with someone who, well, it's like any situation where you're teaching somebody something, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, did you know about this? And then all of a sudden that you're the student when you were being the teacher before. And so that's kind of cool. Jose. Okay, I'll talk about Jose. So have you, Nate and Stephen, have you guys heard about the transparency program?
Yes. Amazon's doing a lot of things in the back too, especially even just having the tracking to track all the items so that they can deal with forgery better. It's very ambitious. It's kind of weird right now how they have people as early adopters and you kind of have to be invited and stuff like that, but it is coming. I
was invited.
Oh, nice.
So I talked to Jose in the transparency department. And so I actually think it's going to be very, very beneficial for print-on-demand people. I just talked to him, was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. And then he was sending me some documentation and stuff like that. I can't be in the program yet because my trademark is not totally through the process yet. So I can't be brand registered yet, but hopefully by the end of the year. But he's keeping in contact with him. They sent me a lot of documentation and information and stuff like that. I am free to share, and so I can send that along to you if you're interested in it. But I was actually, I thought it could really be beneficial for print-on-demand people. And again, the purpose is for Amazon. I think part of it is to get rid of counterfeiters. That was what, again, I'm just paraphrasing what Jose said. It's also a way for Amazon to make money, because everything does come down to that at some point. But so what they're looking for is to have people that are in the transparency program. They would put a unique identifier on every single product that they had. So it's not just like an ASIN that covers as many of those products that you send in. Every single product will have a product identifier on it. And that buyers would have the capability, it's like a QR code, to be able to scan the identifier and be able to have an app confirm whether their item is counterfeit or non-counterfeit. And how I see it as being beneficial for print-on-demand people is because having that kind of technology, we talk about merch, about, people stealing designs and stuff like that. It won't totally eliminate that. But some of this would be more on Amazon, not a merch, but like mugs and things like that. I'm kicking hijackers off my mugs all the time. Like I have a running open case with Seller Central on one of my mugs. They never close it. I just send in and say, there's another one. And then they take them down. There's another one, and then they take them down. But from what he was telling me, and I wish I could explain it a little bit better, it seemed like it could be a thing that could be beneficial for people that were doing print on demand. So just a curiosity thing. I wondered if you knew anything about it. I'll send you the documentation that he sent me. I'd be curious to see what you think about it. So
yeah, we heard about it. I looked into it, but at the time, again, just like a lot of things that we read about, it's not anything that we could use. So we were like, okay, we are aware of it, but there's nothing here that is usable for us.
Yeah, and that's why I might send it to you just to get your opinion, because it's like I would like to hear from somebody outside of myself that has a little bit more knowledge than I do, to see whether it's even something that I should be interested in.
Anytime Amazon goes to you to sign up for something, I've always seen it be a benefit. I've never seen it be a negative. So
that's kind of what I
definitely
thought.
Sign up for it.
That's what I said. I have a running loan with Amazon. I call that's my insurance policy. As long as they tell me they'll give me money, I'll keep taking it, because I always figure, you know what, they're not gonna suspend me if I owe money. So I consider it like it's like not life insurance, but account insurance. So that's fine. But Ray did respond back there. He said he got into POD to release creative energy, which I love that, and not to make money as a job. In the early days, it was more about designers and artists trying to make money. That and everybody's grandmother wanted a mug with their grandkids' photo on it. So true. I'm a grandma. So it's been more about making money through copying others and outright stealing designs. Yeah, that's probably really frustrating from the creative aspect of things, I would imagine. Yeah. I find it frustrating, and I'm not even a really good designer. So, yeah, it is hard to keep up. Totally get that. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Ray. I appreciate it. Okay, good. I love that. Don't you love how I'm taking over your time here, guys?
Well, it's your show. I don't.
Hi, everybody. I'm Christie. If you haven't noticed, I'm the one that talks a lot.
Welcome to her neighborhood.
Yeah. I have a deep desire to help people. It's what I do. And so I give unsolicited advice all the time. And so what I tell everybody is, like, any advice that you ever receive from anybody, keep what is good and usable and throw the rest away. I will never be offended by that. But what Nate and Steve and I had talked about actually, the reason that I was coming on tonight was because I feel really strongly that there's a big gap in the market in what we do. We have a lot of really excellent training, and these guys are an example of this. I say this all the time. I have 2 groups that I'm very passionate about and very dedicated to. I'm very connected with, this being one of them. And it's because the guys had such giving spirits, and they want to take everything that they've learned and help people to actually use it. So you have some wonderful knowledge here, but the one gap that sometimes happens for most people, I think, is the place where it's not about knowledge, but it's about belief in yourself or confidence in yourself or struggles that you have that are keeping you from taking action on the knowledge that you're getting. And so we had talked about this with the guys and about how I really, desire to help people in that space, because if you can overcome those places, then you can take the knowledge that Nate and Stephen are imparting and really run with it and have it be what you want it to be. And so that's kind of why, that's kind of where this had evolved into this discussion. And so that's why I often ask people questions and I call people out to talk and stuff like that, because I want to hear your stories. I want to get to know the people that are here, because then when you have a challenge or, a place in my space, the space that I like to give, I know how to best help. Does that make sense? And so that's why I ask questions and get to know people. Also, I don't like silence very well, which is interesting. But yeah, so I would like to get to know everybody here more, and have you feel comfortable and free to be able to say, hey, you know what, I need help with the care group that we were doing earlier today. This is something that I do in another group, and some of the stuff that we were talking about is fear. The fear that people had of running out of money, running out of ideas. It wasn't about those things. It was about the fear. It was the fear that needed to get addressed, because the other issues were all ones that could be, they're not insurmountable. You can figure out ways around them, but unless you direct your attention to the fear and how to get rid of that, you won't do it. And that's a problem, because then you're not able to take those steps forward. So, yeah. So bunny trail there a little bit, but I guess I should have explained a little bit why I was being the guest tonight. So I didn't do that very well. See, I'm following up on you, Stephen. I didn't do that very well. Yeah. So I'm really happy that people are sharing. I think that's part of what makes a good, healthy group, is when people can not let me overrun them and actually share.
Yeah, I think it's really cool to see where everyone started and why they started with this.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of similar to Ray. I just started this as like was already something I was doing,
Mm-hmm.
and it was on Amazon, which Stephen was super interested in doing a bunch of Amazon stuff. It's like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, it might help me understand what he's doing better, like what actual process that's going on besides just packing boxes. But then it quickly became something where like, oh, this is like, something that could work, something we could work together on, which is what we wanted to do for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it and now has turned into just this crazy system that somehow continues to work, which is fantastic. But it is cool seeing like where everyone started, whether you're coming at it from an art perspective or if you already work on Amazon and you're just trying to add this to your business.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think our system works for everybody, and that's kind of the exciting part of it.
I agree. 100%. I think that's that piece of it is probably a little bit more rare. Like I said, there's lots of knowledge out there, but there's far less knowledge like that. I see why. Okay, so I'm really curious. Xilist, is that like a pseudonym or whose name is that? Hopefully you'll share that with me, or to help me pronounce your name. But he was saying, anyone tried using a design service like Penji at all? Do you guys know what that? Oh, I'm sure you do, but I don't. I've never heard of that.
I mean, I don't look a ton into design services since we have the awesome VA team that we have. I did look into Design Pickle when we were first starting out, but we were trying to do their like claim is you pay like $400 a month and you get unlimited design, but they only work on one design at a time, and the way that we operate, that's not gonna work for us because it's like a 2-day turnaround for one piece of artwork, which is like fantastic. For most businesses, but when you're doing,
we need thousands per day.
Yeah, when you're doing as much artwork as we're doing,
we can stretch a piece of art, but
that might be pushing it even for you guys.
Right. So we have our VA team, which is great. It's just hard to do it with a design service like that unless it's merch specific and they kind of understand, or print on demand specific, and they kind of understand what you're trying to do, because you're going to have such a high volume of art that you'll need. But yeah, I haven't heard of that exact one. I'm not sure if that one's even merch specific or not, but I would
that's why I'm excited for Nathaniel to ramp up his art team. We have a lot of cool ideas that we have been testing out, but I think that's a huge need for this community, is just to be able to get art done rapidly and at a cost-effective price, and
I really like what I'm getting.
Understand how to stretch the art so you get more out of it.
I've been super happy with the stuff I'm getting. It's selling, so.
Yeah, no, that's like, I didn't even know that I'd like doing that, managing people, especially managing artists. It was always something I like tried to do, but didn't have a good system for artists to be giving me art, and now that I do, like, it's cool to see that this is all working, and I actually enjoy managing people.
Cool.
Ray said that he's heard of it, and he knows a few people that have used it, and $2 signs. I don't know if he means that's expensive or if that was what he was saying there, but yeah, so it's expensive. Yeah, so that's what I was going to say, just to finish that thought, is definitely you want to be keeping track of how much money you're spending on that and how much you're actually making. Because it's really easy to just be upside down and feeling like you're growing something. But the root problem isn't that you're not putting up enough art. It's something else. Most likely your keywords, or where you're listing your shirts, or how you're listing them. There can be other problems besides just getting enough art to throw up. You don't want to just be paying for art that isn't selling for you. I see people doing that, and it hurts me. And that's why I try to keep our cost low so you can test a lot of stuff. But yeah, you definitely want to be looking at it like a business. And I would definitely have been doing that myself, like just paying VAs because I like doing that. If it weren't for Steven, like making sure, like, okay, is this actually profitable? Like, how many shirts, like, what's the breakdown of how many shirts do we need to be having sold from these designers to make sure that, you know, they're doing their job.
It's a business. Actually, you got to run them numbers, baby.
Yeah, so there's a lot that goes into it than just trying to find the cheapest place and get as much art as you can. Because even if you're dumping great value for the art, or great prices on the art, but it's not bringing you actual value, then you're
losing money.
Yeah, not running a successful business. It's then just like a hobby.
I think it was very eye-opening to me. So when I started digging into it and just seeing like that, I'm not a graphic artist, but I can look at shirts and go, these look horrible, and they're still selling because people are able to find them. And shirts that look amazing, people are not finding them. That's why they're not buying them. And that conversation that I had with Nathaniel, where he was very passionate about his art is high quality, which I agree 1,000%, but nobody's finding it. If you make that shirt and drop it in the middle of the ocean, no one's going to buy it. No one's going to find it. No one's going to be able to see it to even know that it's good. So to me, that's why I say keywords and stuff like that is the most important part to me, because that's the only way customers are able to find your shirt. Now, if you can pair good art with good keywords, you don't even have to be perfect at either one of those. If you could just do a little bit better than most people on average, then you should be able to have a lot of success. I see a ton of listings all the time that are just horrible listings, but they're still selling, but there's nobody competing with them in that space.
I showed you my example of that. I showed you guys the ugly shirt that I designed that sold because I worked hard on learning the keywords and you know, that whole process. And it's interesting what I'm seeing here, because we have a mix here, because and I don't know how to pronounce it. It is Xilist. I would like you.
I believe it's pronounced Zillis.
Zillis. If that's correct, let me know, because I really don't like to mispronounce people's names. That's a personal, I don't like to do it. So Zillis. I don't mind if people do it to me, Stephen.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I don't like to do it to other people.
I didn't even spell your name properly most of the time.
I don't care. It doesn't bother me at all, but I don't like to do it. So I think it's too many years of customer service. But Zillis was saying that he has, and I'm assuming he has thousands of things created, but wants to do better at keywording and listing. And he says that he hasn't been able to scale quickly enough, that his plan is to hire a design team for quality designs for his products. And then Ray was also saying he can design all day and often do, but it's the SEO for merch that's tough. So yeah, it's interesting. So what would be the best advice you would give to those two for that specific thing?
It is a business. You have to find balance. We see this slightly different, but you have to pick one side of the business or the other. You can't do it all and scale. So pick what you feel is your strength and focus in on that, and then hire out the other part. And knowing that hiring artists or hiring data entry, which is essentially like what I'm doing, is not that expensive. And if you're we have an equation. We haven't said it yet. We really want to release it to the pre-flight people first before we say it anywhere else. But there's simple equations that you can run to see if you're at the point where you should think about hiring somebody. And it's not very expensive to hire a VA. It's just the time that it takes to learn that process is a lot of time spent. But once you learn how to hire, that's how you're able to scale your business. Like you can't do everything. You're eventually going to have to hire or partner. If you don't want to hire, then you're going to have to partner. But either way, you're going to have to work with somebody else to scale your business or do everything yourself. And we've tried that a lot. It doesn't work.
You'll just be spending all day, every day doing it, which for some people, that's not a problem. Like if that's what you want to do, that's more power to you. But
it is a problem at the end of the day. You know, it honestly is. It's interesting, Nate. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to just cut you off there.
No,
I did a lot. You know, but it's very interesting to me because I'm in two different groups and having very similar conversations today that are coming up. And what that tells me is that this is either a pain point or it's something that that happens across the board. It's not unique to what is here. And the reason that that's important is because it's fixable then, and that's the good thing. But it's an interesting thing about being like I'm a control freak. And so it was really hard for me to outsource things. And so I had to, like, literally, I had a mentor that smacked me upside down and sideways for a year, literally, before I started outsourcing when we were doing books. And when I finally started doing that, that's when my business really took off. And the reality is that we have one person has 24 hours in a day, and there's only so much energy you have. You get to a point where you get to the bottom of that well, it's dry, and there's literally nothing else that you can physically, mentally, emotionally do at all. And there's nothing you can do to get beyond there except for outsource. And the goal would be, of course, not to get to that point. You know, you want to be able to outsource before you get there, because Stephen, you were talking about then it's not fun anymore. You know, then things fall apart and stuff like that. And so that's what I meant by that, Nate. I wasn't negating what you were saying, but it's one of those things that it's for some people, it's just really hard to let go of control. For other people, it's fear, because it's like, well, what if I spend this money and nothing happens because of it? What if I hire the wrong person and then I have to fire them? Or, you know, whatever it is that again, going back to roadblocks, it is. But you need to address it and realize that, you know, without taking that step, there is a finite point that you can take your business, and you can't take it any further than that. So, you know, be thinking about that now, even before you're ready. Be thinking about it now, because when you get to that point, you want to be able to seamlessly move into it rather than having that battle then.
Yeah, no, definitely. If you're trying to grow merch into a business and systemize it, it's very difficult to do it all by yourself. I do know of artists who are just doing this as kind of, you know, like I can't forget the name, Ray said at the beginning, like he was just doing this as his creative outlet, which I encourage artists to do. because once you see money coming in from it, then you'll start taking a little bit more serious, hopefully. But yeah, definitely if you're trying to grow this into a system, it's really hard to do everything by yourself. And you're almost doing yourself a disservice by like trying to learn everything and perfect every part of the system instead of just focusing in on what you're doing and letting someone else handle the rest. And it can be daunting to hire someone to do a job for you. Like it's not, you know, an easy thing. No one just jumps right into it and is like, oh yeah, this is working out perfectly. I was talking the other night, I forget where we told this story, but was it last Christmas? Last Christmas we were hanging out as a family. Was it 2 Christmases ago? 2 Christmases ago. I can't remember. Whenever I hired my first VA, it was right around Christmas, and I was like pulling my hair out as we're like walking around like, I don't know, some park and looking at lights, and everyone else is like enjoying themselves, and I'm like over here like stressing out because I just hired somebody and I'm trying to like figure out payment and figure out how to like, you know, work with them best. And so it wasn't like we like, you know, had an easy step into it, but it was
enjoyable for me though, because that's normally me, and everybody's looking at me like, what's wrong with him? Even my wife and my mom were like, what's wrong with him? I was like, he's figuring something out, leave him alone. He'll be all right. I've been there many times.
Yeah, it was unfortunate the timing, and just like Christmas Day was when I was trying to figure all this out. But yeah, it's not an easy thing, but it will help you so much in the long run. And it can be daunting too to like know what tasks to give them and all that stuff. And that's why hopefully with our system, we're teaching it in such a way that you can just show them like, okay, if you're looking for someone who's trying to do data, this is what I'm looking for. And then you just work with them. Okay, our exact parameters aren't working for you. You switch them up a little bit. You communicate that to the person who's finding keywords for you. And, you know, you just keep working the system until you dial in what's working for you. And even for art, like I feel like I know art very well. I've worked with a lot of artists, but still working with VAs was like a whole nother, you know, communication problems and all that stuff that goes with working with someone who's across the world, because most of our VAs are in the Philippines. Yeah, there's just a lot to it. It's a lot of back and forth, but it is worth it definitely in the long run. Now that I'm not doing 15 hours of artwork anymore.
And for me, go ahead.
I was gonna say that's why another reason I love merch, because I feel like it's the best place to start. Because if you can grow this into a business, you have all the tools you need to grow all the rest of your businesses. This, in order to scale merch, I feel like you do have to either partner or hire somebody. And at the level of what you'll need, it's very inexpensive to hire a VA, and that VA can learn so much. And they are people. If they're doing that and they're doing it 8 hours a day or however long you've hired them, they're gonna get way better at it than you. Even I consider myself very knowledgeable on keywords and the Amazon platform. My VA team is constantly learning new tricks to speed up the time and do things differently. And the tools that I give them now, I just kind of almost don't even explain it. I just hand them some tools and then let them play with it and figure out what works best for them, instead of me going, okay, this is exactly how I use the tool. When you're here, this is exactly what you do. This is exactly what you look for. They know what they're looking for now. So it's just like, oh, here's another thing that I can help speed up my process. Thank you for the tool. Now I'll see if I can work with it or not work with it, and then just report back to me. Is this helping? Great. If not, then don't worry about it. You don't have to use the tool. I'm not forcing anybody to do it. But I guess that's how we work our business is different. We want to empower the people who are working for us to learn it and make it work for them, more than just you have to do it my way. And I think that's why the partnerships that we have work so well, because we go, Christie, we want to partner with you. I don't want to tell Christie, hey, every Thursday you have to do this. You have to talk about this. You have to say it in this way. We're trying to promote all of these things. Make sure you're hitting all these key. That's why I say whatever you want to say on Thursday, do that. We're just happy that you come on Thursday and say anything. Right? That's how we want it to work. And because we didn't have a master plan for it, we were just like, eventually, if you do it long enough, we'll figure it out. I'll see something and go, okay, let's try this. And that next thing might not work. It might be 5, 10, 15 times we try something, and then we go, okay, now this is what we're doing moving forward. It took us a long time to figure that out, but here's the process that we have, and this is how me and Christie can work together.
Yeah. And actually, we talked about that, planning ahead on those. I say this all the time. Like usually 2 seconds before I push the play button, I still don't know what I'm going to say, you know, because, you know, and we talk about this, you know, I have a deep faith. And so, yeah, I do. And so for me, it's like, you know, as soon as I open my mouth, I wait for what is supposed to come out, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And so, you know, once I gave control of that away, that has been a wonderful gift to me, because I am a control freak. I can ask my husband. I'm that's something that it's an issue that I have to continue to work with myself on. And that was the way I was able to give it away. In the same way that you gave away the need to figure it out ahead of time, and just to let it evolve and stuff like that. And that's why your group is growing. That's why people are being helped. That's why people are finding success, because you are allowing, a force bigger than you to direct you. And I think that's kind of the beauty of what's here. Yeah.
Yeah. Put God first in all things. That's what I do.
Yeah. So I love Thursday mornings. I hope people enjoy hearing it, because I really would hate to give it up. Although sometimes it's afternoon. Like Q4 might be a little bit more. It could be any time on Thursday. No, I'm still going to do it, but because I really do enjoy it. That's the honest truth. I honestly really do. It invigorates me. That's not quite the right word, but it really it does energize. Thank you. That's the word. It really energizes me to do that, and so I'm glad that I had that opportunity to do it. So. Did you see what Celeste was saying about? I'm going to totally jump topics on you here.
33 designers for $10,000.
$10,000 a month. I don't think I'll be doing Penji. I wasn't going to anyway, but certainly not now. Yeah.
There's very little that can beat a good VA team as far as price and getting a ton of designs done. So I would definitely look into onlinejobs.ph. If that is something you're considering, feel free to ask me any questions that you have. That's something I want to try and help people with more. I found a lot of people just weren't doing enough designs every month to have someone work for them full time and get the best pricing possible. And that's why I have my art form. If you are trying to do thousands of designs a month, definitely talk to me, because we might have a solution of how we can help you. But
one a day that's something that we ran into in the beginning. Was we want to take advantage of someone's art team, but the speed at which they do it didn't make sense for us to do one a day. We need it way
a lot
more
of
rapid than just one.
Design work is done for someone who's like
making a logo
picky.
Or something.
Yeah, so they want to have a ton of revisions, a ton of back and forth. But with a lot of what we do, and I love my team, and I love the people who order art for my team, because they understand that we're giving the artist creative freedom. We're giving them the basic idea, we're giving them some imagery that we want them to work with, and a reference of something we like. And then we just kind of let them run free with it. It's not like we're being super picky and, you used slightly the wrong red there because, that's not going to work with my branding, or
I wanted the character standing slightly more to the left.
Right. Or, I wanted a completely different style. You do have one revision. So if we completely miss something, or if there's spelling, because most of the VAs are in the Philippines, and just cultural differences. Some people say football and then they'll get a soccer image back because our VAs are in the Philippines. So we have to explain what that means. So, I mean, it's not perfect, and that's why we do the one revision to fix anything that we just completely missed the mark on. But for the most part, we give them creative freedom. And like Stephen was saying, they now do stuff that's better and quicker than me, because that's what they're doing all day.
I was about to fire at the end when you showed me what they did.
Yeah, because I was able to do whatever. I don't even remember how many designs, and they're
it was a lot,
20 to 50 designs, and we're okay, clearly I don't need to be doing this. So,
well, it's like anything else. It's like baseball players. It's like football players. I mean, I'll use sports people or whatever, but it's like anything. If that's what your sole focus is doing that one thing, you're gonna be good at it. And unless I want to be an employed person who say, or a designer, if I wanted to hire myself out as a designer, that for me is a job, and it's not what I desire to have. I want to have a business. And so it doesn't make sense for me to try and get good at that. If it's something I enjoy, I talk a lot about, I have pages and pages and pages of landing zones because I like that. You know, I could spend all day doing that. And do you know what I do for fun? You know, everybody else relaxes. They might have, you know, go read a book or go for a walk or whatever. I look up landing zones. That's what I do for fun. It relaxes me. It's like a treasure hunt. You know, I really like it. And so, you know, so I don't mind spending time on that. But why would I want to spend time? That's why I really like using the, what's the new name for the art form? Daily Flight. Thank you. That's why I like using the Daily Flight, because it's like, oh, good, I don't even have to think about that anymore. And that for me, excuse me, is kind of a maybe a launching pad, but I don't think so. I think it'll probably be where I'm gonna have the hiccups now, where I end up. But you know, I did hire a VA to do some of my design work, and it worked really, really well. And then there wasn't anything wrong with the design work that she was doing, but she was choosing. I was paying her to learn things, and then she was starting to hire that out to other people when I had plenty of work for her to do. And so I had to end up letting her go. One of the hardest things I've done in my business, because she was a sweet person. The Filipino people really, you know, all the Filipino people I've dealt with, they desire to want to help you. They're just really lovely people to work with. But it's certainly not something that I wanted to do again at this point. I didn't want to hire somebody, for me personally. So for having the Daily Flight, that's a good launching point for me. And so when we were talking about, well, that's probably why I got a little bit flipped out by the list of talking about Penji. It's like $10,000 a month. You know, sometimes it's nice to have those little launching pads too, where you're not spending a lot of money. Like, you know, I think, Nate, the Daily Flight, that's very affordable. It's doing what I needed to do right now. It allows me to be able to stretch the designs too. So I have a nice, great place there that's helping me to grow my business, where I'm not having to spend too much of my time in the stuff that I'm not good at. Does that make sense?
That was the base of everything that we started doing before we were doing teaching or anything. Like, we just wanted to help people where they were at with their merch business. Mm-hmm. And it was me just doing artwork for people. But like we said, like, that just scaled way too quickly and became overwhelming. That's why I was like, okay, I have to hire somebody if we want to continue this business model. Yeah. That's where we're at. And that's what we love doing, is just helping you guys exactly where you're at. We think, like, knowledge is definitely important.
It is.
But I said it before, like, you could just be buying artwork from me and not understand where to put that. So then you're just paying me to give you art that's not doing anything for you. Like, we don't want that. And that's kind of how the education really started taking off. It's like, okay, now we have people interested in our services. Let's show them actually how to use this and give them a more complete package for, you know, getting things done, and also the understanding to make it work, which is what we love to do and why we continue to hang out with you guys.
Speaking of learning, Harper had a question about VAs. Can you use VAs to do your merch uploads?
You can. You just have to trust them. They can go in and change your bank information. So if you miss a month of payment for merch, I would definitely check that. What I've been able to do is actually use, like, friends and family here in the US that have free time, like students who need some side money, or just friends who I see sitting on the couch too much, and I'm like, hey, you can help me. And I just offer them, you know,
you do the old little brother tactic.
Yeah. It's not always even money that I have to pay my friends with, so that works out nice. Like, hey, if you do, you know, a couple hours of uploads for me and that helps me out, then we can figure out something that works. But yeah, so I would look at friends or family. I even had my mom helping me for a while because she was just interested in what we were doing, and I was like, if you're interested, you could help. So it didn't last too long, but it was a huge help, because she was actually the first person to help me, and that, like, helped me figure out the system.
Process. Yeah,
and that's where we came up with, like, the Mad Libs keywords, because I was like, oh, she doesn't understand keywords the same way I do. How can I make this as simple as possible? So working with somebody else, I mean, if me and Steven working together wasn't enough proof of this, working with somebody else can just help you tighten up your system even more. And you'll definitely get that from the VA, because you're paying someone to do a job, and you don't want to, like, you know, have them just pay them for no reason or have them do a bad job at it. So you definitely will learn how to tighten up your system from hiring VAs, but also just working with somebody else. If you can just be like, hey, if you could just help me with this for an hour, and tell me, where you're getting stuck on things, what you don't understand, then that will definitely help you tighten up your system and streamline things.
We have some really good comments in here, you guys. I don't know if you're following along here, but this is awesome.
It's like a good conversation going on.
I know, it's great. I love it. I really love that. That was a great answer to that, by the way. But it's interesting, as Celeste was saying, he has over 4,000 sketched out ideas that he just needs implemented so he can focus on the research and listings. And he likes to, I think, Harper, you were saying that you do the same thing as I do. And Celeste was saying the same, like to research, create ideas, and design. But he needs to manage his time more effectively. And Melinda, you have another great point here. Fresh perspective from other designers on art is great too. Yeah, a lot of us are working from home. Yeah, that's again one of these crossover conversations. The type of work that we do, or the careers that we are putting out for ourselves here, the businesses that we're building, whatever word you want to use, can be relatively lonely because a lot of us do work at home. And if you're like, I'm blessed because my husband is very supportive, but not everybody has a spouse or family that supports what they do. And that can make it even more lonely. And so, yeah, that was a good point, Melinda, as far as a lot of us are working at home and need the feedback to push us forward. Yeah. And when you're finding yourself in doubt, yeah, that's again, I'm going to go back to, one of the reasons I think it's important that seeing these conversations in the chat here, I'd like to see more of that in the Facebook group too, because there's so many things that we all can do for each other within the Facebook group just by, treating it like an extended family, I guess, that's how I look at it anyway. But like when you're feeling doubt about yourself, that would be a great place then to come into the Facebook group and say, hey, I'm struggling with this right now, and having a group of people that understand exactly where you're coming from and are saying, okay, yeah, I get it, because it can get kind of lonely working here at home, or if your spouse doesn't understand what's going on, or if you have young kids and they're crawling up your legs and you're trying to get 10 t-shirts loaded up or whatever. There's so much of us and we understand it because we've been there. And again, feedback. Again, Melinda, you're saying some great points here. Feedback on all aspects of merch helps. And again, when we have conversations with each other, that draws out. Like I have learned so much here in this chat today. It's wonderful about the people that are here on the call. And I just absolutely love that because, I think, Nate and Stephen, you're better able to help people because they're sharing more freely or sharing freely. And that's like, oh, okay, this is where the need is. I can fill that. That's wonderful. That's there. Harper is saying she has a daughter in college that's always looking for extra cash. So you gave her a great idea on how to be able to, Nate, on how to be able to utilize that for, uploading more designs. So, Melinda, I also like constructive criticism. Actually, I really do. I don't like spite or meanness in any form, but that's so totally different than someone's honest opinion when they're trying to help you. And, for me, I had to learn how to receive criticism. I used to be not very good at that because I would, it wasn't because I found it hurtful so much as I didn't have very much self-esteem. And so it really quashed me. If you're from the Midwest, you use words like that. But, so I've gotten to a point now where I really appreciate constructive criticism because I can understand it now as somebody trying to help me rather than somebody trying to bring me down. Maybe, other people, you may or may not have had to deal with that. But yeah. And Celeste saying he did the art direction. Say that again, Celeste. I'm not understanding what he said there. The art direction? Did you give her some direction on art? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think he was saying that he gave his niece direction, that she did a better job than what expected.
Okay.
And that's like what happens when you give, artists creative freedom. I can speak from that because I am an artist, and when people give you super direct instructions, sometimes it can be hard to pull what's out of their head and put it on paper. But if you're not so, worried about the exact details of what's going into it and just want to get this idea across and give the artist creative freedom, like then they start, feeling a little bit more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I love my artists too, because like I tell them the type of art that is working. So, they see, okay, these types of designs are selling. Let me, dig farther into those styles and those colors and what's working, the textures that we're putting over certain images and all of that stuff. Like they are figuring all of that out. I don't have to be micromanaging them and telling them that information.
Mm-hmm. That's an area that I work on continuously. That was going back to control freak days where I had to really work past that, because it's really easy to micromanage when you're a control freak. And so that's something I had to get past. Okay. So he was saying that what you were saying, Nate, that he had his great niece do some work and she did a great job, but that her mom wants her to focus on school. So that's, again, one of those challenges that comes up, isn't it? Where, you have people that, I don't know whether entrepreneurship is something you're born with or something that's created. I still haven't quite figured that all out. And I don't think it's not something that needs to be figured out, but I do understand it's like cilantro. People either love it or hate it. It's like if you talk about cilantro, there's usually no middle ground. People either really like it, like me. I can make a salad out of cilantro and just eat that. I love it. My son thinks it smells like stink bugs. I mean, he can't even tolerate it. But that I think, it's interesting because it really is like that analogy, because I think e-commerce is something that, people either understand or they don't. Now, fortunately, there can be a meeting of the minds in there. I used to hate cilantro, and now I love it. And like my husband, who's not the entrepreneur, we've been married 34 years now, and he's supported me, but he didn't really understand it. But now we're partnering together in our e-commerce business, and he's learning and coming along with me on that. And so, Celeste, I wanted to say that just as an encouragement, because, if your niece is meant to have something in e-commerce and it's something she desires, because those, I don't know those pieces, there is, even if her mom doesn't understand or believe in it now, there is still opportunity for that. So I don't know, again, half the time I don't know why I have to say the things I do, because hopefully that's helpful for you. That's what the intent is. But yes, and yeah, that's wonderful. I hope that if she is really talented like that, and you're able to hire her, then I pray that you're able to do that. That would be an awesome way to be able to, within the family, because that's one of the things I like about Nate and Steven, actually, is, again, the family thing. I love other cultures that hold up family in such high regard. And I think here in the States, it's something that we don't do very well. And so I really appreciate my e-commerce families, and that's part of the reason for that too. So if you have opportunity to work with a family member, in this case your niece, I really pray that that's something that can evolve into something that you can do, because not only would be the best mentor for her because you care for her, but again, having an opportunity to work with a family member, I think, is a pretty special thing. So I really hope that is something that can work out. So Lena said she'd love to have a service that would critique or give suggestions on current listings which are not optimized.
Yeah. Read that. We've been talking about that a lot, and it was something that we kind of did in the VIP group with the account health check. We got feedback on that, and are kind of reworking that idea.
Yeah, we've done one-on-one coaching, and we enjoy it. Just the time.
Yeah, it's basically just comes down to a time thing. So even thinking about doing like recorded videos and sending them, it might not be as helpful as just the like live one-on-one coaching, but it'll allow me to do that stuff at like 4 a.m. before I go to bed, or like whenever, just on our schedule. On our schedule, like we try to keep it as flexible as possible, just because we have a lot of stuff going on. So it's hard for us to like nail down these times. We're for sure not going to have anything. But that is something that we've been talking about. I wanted to try and do it the next 2 weeks, but we're leaving for a conference and we still need a lot of planning on that. So we're going to try and do that maybe mid-October. It's helpful knowing that you are open to that idea. I'll probably reach out to you first, and anyone else who's interested in that can let me know, because I'd just like to like tighten up what we're doing and learn how I can help the most people before we're like, here's a service that we're not like haven't tested really. We like to
because you've done those recordings for people, but it almost takes an hour to make a 20-minute recording because of all the checking and stuff that you're doing. But I guess that was the thing when we're doing the coaching call, like the looking at what you're just showing us and then going over it. It's not, to me, not beneficial when we're like trying to find your shirt, because it's just us trying searches. And there's not really anything I can tell you other than I've been doing it for 15 years and now I know how to kind of find your shirt. So
it's best if we can kind of like compile some information, collect our thoughts, and then give you an answer instead of like showing you a million things that we're doing.
It's almost too confusing.
Yeah.
And then we can record it and make it concise to go, this is what we've seen, this is what we suggest, more than like the hour-long call of going, well, we can try this, we can do this, we can. Then it's like they're getting overwhelmed.
Right. Just like how we're teaching now, like it's much more concise and we like limit ourselves a lot more. We still have a ton of knowledge that we want to give you guys, even farther past merch, which, you know, is becoming a smaller percentage of what we're doing daily, just because we have a good system for it and a lot of other opportunities are opening up. But it is best if we can just like look at that stuff and then give you an answer, which, like Steven said, I did it a few times last week and I like really enjoyed it. And that's why I was like, oh, like this is what I should be offering to the group as well. So it's awesome to see that you're actually asking for that. And hopefully when we get back from St. Louis, there'll be something we can implement a little bit more. But yeah, even for my own personal art, like I still send it to like my sister who's an artist and like some other artist friends. Whenever I create something like just for fun, I'm like, hey, how do you feel about this? Do you hate it? Is usually what I ask. Just because, you know, being an artist and not sure about anything I create. But it is super helpful to have, especially your own business, when you're like, is this listing, like, am I doing anything right here? I don't know. I have nothing to gauge this off of. And then just having somebody look over it and say like, yeah, no, that looks good. Or, you know, if you just change a few things, maybe you'll find more success with this. And there's no exact answer that we can give you. Like, oh, for sure you messed this up. If you change this one thing, then you'll automatically sell hundreds of these. But
just some guidelines.
Right. Just things that we've tested, something that we're seeing, something you should try.
It is something that the more I do, like say the ASD walks, I'm going and teaching people private label. I think the biggest thing that people get out of it is just can you listen to me talk about my business and suggest if I'm doing is moving in the right direction, or am I completely misunderstanding the information? Like you almost need a guide in certain things that you're doing. And going to ASD, the people that are doing that already have, I'm assuming, understand at least the premise of private label, and then they want to go and find suppliers. That to me is the best way of teaching, is that like in person, we have almost all day. It is a smaller, tighter group. Everybody gets to ask their questions and get their answers. And then they get to go, oh, I appreciate the fact that you just heard what I was doing and were able to see that I'm doing something correctly and kind of give me a green light to go ahead and continue to do this. Because it is, once you start stretching, going in far out beyond your comfort zone, you almost just need somebody to go, okay, yes, keep coming. Or you're way off base, just make a left and you can kind of go down this route. Because it is very nerve-wracking, especially in private label, when you're about to spend $500 to $1,000 on something and you're like, I don't truly know if I'm close or in the ballpark before I spend this amount of money. And that's why I think we like to teach this way. Like everything that we're doing here, that's why we're charging very little for all of this, because we just want to get people to trust us and see, oh, I for sure got my money's worth when I am paying these guys, and now I want to continue on with them. Because like I said, I've helped people kind of run the gamut in their businesses. I enjoy the product line more than just the merch. I feel like you kind of tap out in merch at a certain point. Like unless you grow that business and then you have the whole thing automated, then it frees up your time. Then you should be going on to the next thing anyway. But with merch, there's a ceiling that you're going to hit, and the problems that are inherent with merch, I don't see going away anytime soon. The people doing exact copies of your listing, the amount of uploads that you can do. You can't batch upload. So there's just like, there's limitations in the business. And I see like, it's not worth trying to solve those. The same thing with pop sockets. I don't see spending a lot of time learning and teaching pop sockets because you're still hitting that same ceiling. I should be teaching you more and other things without those limitations. Like I almost want to have you be limitless instead of going, you can hit this. And then as soon as you hit the ceiling, now you're playing by Amazon's rules and there's nothing else you can do about it. Or you can grow a business and have your own customers, and then you're off to the races. Whatever your imagination is, you can do that. Just like we had an idea to teach a course over 7 weeks. We didn't have to go and ask anybody permissions. We just had a goal for us, and we said 20 people. We wanted to keep it tight because this is something that we are trying to do, and we want to get paid this much. If we can hit that, then we'll do it. If not, then we'll go somewhere else and do something else. We hit it, so now we're doing the training, and we enjoy doing that, and we enjoy doing these live calls. Everything that we're doing is an enjoyment, and there's no limitations to it. And I guess that's my biggest qualm with merch right now is we're hitting a lot of those limitations, and it's just like we've been hitting them. It's not like a new problem. It's a problem that we hit that limit, and there's no solution to it other than letting VAs into your account. And when you're managing other people's accounts, that's where it gets like, that's dangerous, because if anything goes wrong, it can ruin that relationship. Even though at this point they're like, put the VA in there, we don't care, but I don't feel comfortable doing that. Yeah.
And kind of what Stephen was touching on, and Zillis just said this in chat, but like merch isn't the end all be all. Like this isn't even the answer for everyone as far as like print on demand goes. So I mean, we've talked about Etsy a little bit. We are still digging into that and trying to learn as much as possible so we can teach you guys what's working over there. And we're excited about the amount of information they give you over there, which is fantastic. So if merch isn't working out for you, we're not going to keep telling you to like, you know, just keep trying to make it work. Like there are other options for how you can run a successful print-on-demand business and then lead that into other things like private label and whatnot.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it, right? Of what you're teaching is going beyond just merch, which is what you said at the very beginning.
Yeah, it's exciting. Sorry, I keep cutting you off, James, but it's exciting that we're only really like just about a year into this thing, and we're already able to like see how this can grow so much farther than just merch. We're excited about that. But go ahead, James. I keep cutting you off.
Yeah, we'll just have to call you the Wingman Guide Service.
That's good. All right, guys, I hate to say this, but I'm probably going to have to go pretty soon. It's my bedtime.
No problem. We'll be signing off too. Yeah, KDP, that's something that we are. I have a whole separate business with another business partner that we teach KDP and do a lot more with KDP. So we are trying to blow that up. We have opportunities to partner with even more people and grow that business even bigger. So I'm excited about the future. It seems like that we have a lot of cool opportunities coming, and we want to be able to teach you guys and continue to break things down into smaller bite-sized chunks that you can actually take action on them. And like Christie was saying before, like when we were teaching before, I was almost like over given the information, so that was like there was no feedback, because there was even times on the over-the-shoulder calls when I was like, is anybody there? I hope people are still listening. And it was like that. We're finding the balance now to give people just enough information to ask questions so that they're engaged. And I guess that was the thing that we were missing before. Like we felt like we needed to give you all of this information, but it was too much. And even like the thing where it goes back to where I felt like a broken record. Like I think I was doing that because it was not presented in a way that you could take action on it. That's why we are now slowing everything down, breaking things into smaller pieces, and then making sure that you guys can take action on those steps, so that when we start adding layers to it, when we start talking about split testing, you're not like, okay, how do I do this now? Where am I getting those extra keywords? How am I using this art differently? Like we have a process to show you guys exactly how to do all of that.
And those short little segments, I really am a fan of stuff like that as a training module type. It's just, especially if you're just looking to find one thing, like, oh, I can't remember that one thing. And then you don't have to listen to like an hour to find that one little piece that you wanted. Another great way of breaking things up the way that you guys are doing, which is really good.
Yeah, we're having a lot more visual aids, which I think is like a huge
Yes.
benefit. Something that we always talked about, but never knew exactly how to implement.
No, we're learning a lot, and just taking this more, I don't know, putting more time into like trying to make our content better. Before it was just us like trying to get things done. So we're just shooting the videos and they're like 2 hours long and not very good. So now that we're like, you know, really trying to think about, okay, how are people learning? Some people want everything written out. Some people want the visual aids. Some people want short videos. Some people want long videos. Like trying to cover all of those bases so we truly can help everybody. That's been a more, you know, a realization that we had. And just becoming better teachers in general. I mean, I think I've said it a couple times, but it's just because like I'm excited to see more people like grasping the information we're giving. It used to be we were just dumping too much stuff out there at like in a short time over a long video. We're just like saying all of this information. But just realizing like ourselves, like even when we watch something that's super complex and it's a long video, like we often have to watch it
Over
2 or
and
3
over
times.
and over.
Yeah. Just to like fully grasp everything. We're like, okay, like maybe watching a 2-hour video 2 or 3 times isn't something everyone has time for. So let's figure out different ways to give our content so that you can actually digest the information and apply it.
And I think when we were teaching, it was just like we don't know what people are really looking for, so we almost feel obligated to give all this information out. And now that it's been a year of like helping hundreds of people, we go, okay, this is a stumbling block. This is a stumbling block. Even like the last teaching I just did on last night, the results on page is something that really a lot of people stumble on. So I feel like we addressed it multiple times on that call in multiple different ways. And even Nathaniel gave it a different example that I gave. And then we reiterated it once we did the over the shoulder. So it was like, I know this is a question that everybody has. Every time I teach this, this is like the #1 question. I need to hammer this point home instead of just glossing over it like I've been doing.
Here's an observation. So, you know, what you were saying is that, you know, at the beginning, you didn't do this as well as we could have, in that you're learning and you're growing and you're doing things better. And so I would say that that's so much like all of our merch journey and how we're starting this. I mean, that's exactly where we are from the perspective of starting, being on the receiving end of that training, and that we're not sure that we're like asking the right questions or that we are, you know, giving the right feedback in order to be able to learn, you know, what's going on. So it's kind of human nature. So I think it's to be expected to. Nobody's going to start out perfect. Well, that's not true. God made us all perfect, but I mean, you're not going to, you know what I mean, though? You're not going to be great at anything. I mean, I want everybody to think back to when you first learned to drive a car. Were you good at it? No. We all stunk. You know, you had to learn it. You had to practice it. You had to keep doing it. And now after you've been driving 20 or 30 years, you don't even think about it. You know, that it's the way things work. So for you guys, you know, I would encourage you not to spend as much time worrying about what was unless you learn from it, which is what you were saying you were doing, which I think that's awesome. But don't ever beat yourself up about that, because if you hadn't started that process, none of us would be here learning from you. And so, you know, I think it's just important to always remember that. And for all of us, I think if I ever stop learning, or if I ever think I know it all, then I really need to, you know, take a step back and say, you know, you might want to rethink that, because we can always learn, we can always grow, we can always do better. And I think it makes us better people when we're striving for that. And I think you guys are good people because you're constantly striving for that. You want the best for yourselves, you want the best for the people in this group. And I think that's really important. Okay, I really am going to go now, guys.
Well, we appreciate you, Christy, and everyone else who joined us tonight. We absolutely love this community. We're thankful that we had this Friday night Hangouts for this month. Unfortunately, this will be the last one because it's Q4 and everyone's life is about to get a little bit more hectic.
Yes.
But thank you guys so much for joining us. We're going to try and keep this replay. So if you want to watch this 2 or 3 times, feel free, because there's information here. But yeah, we had a great time. And we will definitely, I don't know, try to find more ways to communicate or connect with our community. We really enjoy these times of getting to know your guys' stories, where you started from, what you're trying to do, what your struggles are. That's what we enjoy doing, is helping you exactly where you're at. So thank you guys so much, and we will catch you on Monday for Merch Monday. All right, bye guys.